United States Secretary of State John Kerry visited the Israeli government today on the Russia-Syria plan to rid Syria of its Russia-United States plan to remove the chemical weapons from Syria's arsenal by the middle of 2014. How they're going to do this in the middle of a civil war, I have no idea. And they're saying that the weapons inspectors have to have their work done by the end of November. Just a few weeks ago, we had UN inspectors in the country, and they were being shot at by snipers. This is going to be a daunting task. And Daniel Halper will be joining us from the Weekly Standard in Washington about this entire development. Been a strange week with Obama addressing the American people on Tuesday, and Vladimir Putin writing an op-ed piece in the New York Times, and Bashar al-Assad going on CBS television to threaten the United States. Never would have happened under Ronald Reagan. And as a matter of fact, I blogged on this. If you go to my site, roygreenshow.com, you'll find it. Just go to roygreenshow.com. It's about three blogs down, three postings down. Just the comparison between Barack Obama and Ronald Reagan, 1986 and 2013. If you have the time, have a look at that. And just post some comments there, roygreenshow.com. We're going to begin the hour with this. Speed limits. We all love them. They're arbitrary. And if highway traffic flow is an indicator, speed limits make sense only in the minds of bureaucrats, and they've morphed into cash cows for municipal and provincial governments. If you drive the highway speed, all right, if maybe it's 100K where you are, some parts of the country, it's 110, 105, in that neighborhood. If you drive the speed limit, you are the moving chicane most of the time. You're the problem if you drive the limit. And yet there are people who will say, I have the right, that's the speed limit, and then I'm going to drive in the left-hand lane just to force everybody else to drive 100 kilometers an hour. You shouldn't be on the highways. You should be on the back roads. Get off the highways. Please, because you're causing a problem. You are a problem. Now, if you're doing 110, 115, and that's where the traffic flow is, you're not a problem. Frankly, today's cars and today's highways can take it. They were built for 70 miles an hour at a time when we had bias-ply tires, drum brakes all around, rear-wheel drive, and none of the electronic gizmos that keep your car stable. None of that stuff existed. Hell, you were lucky if you had seatbelts. But oh no, now the speed limits are 60 miles an hour, or 62 miles an hour, 100 kilometers an hour. And that all started because of the oil shortages in the 1970s, and then you know how the rest of it goes. The bureaucrats start to make money, and they think, hey, this is cool. We'll just continue to take money out of their pockets. And that is what I believe speed limits are all about on the highways. BC Transportation Minister Todd Stone is reportedly considering a review of whether highway speeds should be raised in the province. Good for him. And Michigan is looking at raising its speed limits to 80 miles an hour, 120 kilometers an hour. Oh, the carnage. From 70. Oh, the carnage. Ian Tootill joins me from Vancouver. He's a founding member of Safety by Education, Not Speed Enforcement. It's called SENSE. Mr. Tootill freely admits to... You do, Ian? You admit to speeding?
I do.
You must be a madman.
Everybody else.
Yeah. No, I'm a madman just like you. I get out on the road, I see 100 kilometer an hour speed limit. I know everybody else is doing 110, 115. And so to keep the traffic flow even and smooth, I'm doing 110 and 115. That's what it's about. Would you not agree, sir? I
would. And I think you see that our video makes the case for it quite well.
Yeah. 95, I think upward of 95% of the population driving population would be right there with you and me. We would be the ones, those who believe 100K is the maximum we can drive would be considered to be madmen. We are the ones who are endangering the public when we are not. But please tell me about, and not everyone's seen the video, tell us what SENSE is about. And tell us, please, about how much public support you have.
Well, Roy, we started in 1995 when the provincial government announced that they intended to put in photo radar in BC, and we put out a petition that gathered 25,000 names, went on a public relations sort of guerrilla marketing campaign for several years, and we were successful in convincing the Liberal government in 2001 to unplug it, which they did. We've carried on advocating proper setting of speed limits, keep right except to pass laws and signage. We're successful in signage, but not the laws. Better driver education. We've just worked on a number of things that we as a group believe in.
Yeah.
The speed limit review was something that the provincial government did do in 2002, but they didn't act on any of the recommendations. So we've been pushing for, first of all, for the publishing of that review, which it was published in 2003. And we've been pushing for another review since then, since conditions have changed, and the correct setting of speed limits, the proper methodology being applied in the setting of speed limits. One thing I need to mention right off the bat is we are not advocating higher highway speeds. Everybody wants to paint us as a group of disaffected, lawbreakers. That's not what we want to do. What we want to do is legalize the current speeds the traffic wants to flow on highways, and that's the safest thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, I will tell you that I suppose I am a disaffected speeder in the sense that I drive at the flow, the rate of flow of traffic. That's how I drive, and so I'm unhappy with the way things are, and I'm unhappy at bureaucratic inability to take the reasonable steps to really increase the safety factor on the highways by going after the dangerous drivers and understanding that our speed limits are artificially low. That's right.
We took a good look back in the 90s. I haven't done it lately, but we looked in the 90s at the first question that we asked was, where's the correlation? Where's the data to show the correlation between at-fault crashes and people exceeding the speed limits?
Right.
You couldn't find it. People that exceed posted speed limits in the jurisdictions where that data is actually kept, they're responsible for somewhere between 3 and 5% of crashes. Your ability or your propensity to have a crash, not necessarily an at-fault crash, but a crash on our roads is directly related to the amount of time that you spend on the roads. And not coincidentally is also your propensity to get a ticket. You spend more time on the road, you might be the best driver in the world, but you are going to get a speeding ticket. It becomes an arbitrary process when you've got laws that don't reflect what it is that the traffic wants to safely flow at. Yeah. And then you go out periodically and start zapping people and hitting them with fines and impoundments. And as I said to you by email the other day, I've been trying to have this conversation with you since 2010.
I know.
When our minister, at the time it was Mike DeYoung, followed up by Shirley Bond in British Columbia. These two ministers decided it was a great idea to implement administrative law on BC roads. That meant impoundments on the spot by police for a charge of excessive speed, which in BC is 40K. Now, we have a Coquihalla Highway, which is similar to your 400 freeways. Some might argue it's an even faster road because there's limited access on and off it, wildlife fences, long sight lines. It's a high-speed road for many months of the year. That road is posted at 110. I defy you to find anybody driving anything other than a truck or a motorhome that does 110 on that road under perfect conditions. The speed limit on that road does not reflect what it is that people want to drive. So if you're going to send the helicopters and the RCMP out to zap people and take their cars, and we've had 18,000 people lose their cars in British Columbia since 2010. I'm going to assert right here that those 18,000 people not 100% of those people are dangerous drivers.
Well, you know what's dangerous? When people see a police cruiser on the highway in a fishing hole location, and I've had this debate with police officers, and I said at one time, I'm never going to accuse them of anything again about fishing holes, but I have real difficulty. I just still see them, and they're hidden away, and then the drivers on the road see them, Ian. And you go from everyone going about 115, 110, 115, 120, the flow of traffic. All the brake lights come on simultaneously. Yeah. And that becomes a dangerous situation because not everyone's slowing down at the same rate. And then one person doesn't see the police car, doesn't recognize what's going on, and that's when you get the rear ender potentially happening. That, to me, is far more worrisome than raising the speed limit to 110 or 115, where it's 100 now or 120, and having vehicles that can handle those speeds drive at that rate of speed. Plus, as you say, appropriate education, driver education. People talk about no speed limits in Germany on the Autobahn. I don't know if that's still the case. I've heard both cases that, yes, there are speed limits now, or no, there aren't. But I know that it's awfully difficult to get a driver's license in Germany compared to what it is in Canada.
Yeah, but you can still go to Germany and you can drive on the Autobahns. There are sections of the Autobahns.
Can I get you to hold on?
Sure. Yep.
Okay, hold on. Ian Tootle is my guest on the Roy Green Show on the Chorus Radio Network. We're going to keep him here. Sense is the organization that he represents, and it's all about safety by education, not speed enforcement. And you know what we're talking about. You've been listening now. 1-877-399-9898 is my number. It doesn't matter where you are in Canada, whether you're in BC, whether you're in Ontario, Winnipeg, Manitoba, whether you're in Saskatchewan, or if you're in Alberta, or anywhere else in the country. I want to know from you whether you believe it is time that our speed limits were adjusted upward because it makes sense, because it is safer to drive more quickly than tootle along at 100K or 110 if that's the speed limit, and be a moving chicane. 1-877-399-9898. If a police officer want to chip in on this, by all means, 1-877-399-9898. We'll have a few minutes more with Ian when we come back.